Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. So I am standing in front of my two other sets of bookshelves because I'm wearing my glasses today. My contacts have kind of just been making my eyes kind of dry and itchy the last few days, so I'm giving them a rest. But because of the way my normal bookshelves are situated right across from the window, the glare is terrible. So hopefully the glare should be better from this angle. The window is on this side. We'll see how the lighting looks, but this is my other set of bookshelves. So same color, but slightly different background today, so enjoy looking at that. But this is going to be my April monthly wrap-up. So let's just go ahead and get into the books that I read last month. First, I finished Fireborne by Rosaria Munda. This is the first in a YA fantasy trilogy that follows these two orphan dragon riders. So we have Lee, whose family was overthrown and killed by revolutionaries, and Annie, whose family was killed by the overthrown regime. And they are friends and rivals, and they face the threat of the old regime returning. And they both have to decide whose side they're on. And I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. I think that this could have been a 5-star if this had been written more as an adult novel. I think that the YA hallmarks of it held it back for me from being a 5-star, but the character conflicts are really compelling, lots of internal conflicts as well, and Annie and Lee's relationship is very fraught and complicated, and the dragons are neat. I did enjoy this and do recommend it, even though it wasn't quite up there to 5-star. I'm not sure if I'm going to continue this series, but it was good. I do recommend it if you like dragon fantasy. Small Favors by Erin A. Craig. This is a historical horror about this town called Amity Falls that starts to experience some strange things in the woods, and people in this small community start to suspect their own neighbors of committing these acts of aggression against them, and tensions start to build, and you watch the strain start to wear down the people of the falls through the eyes of the protagonist named Ellery. I loved this book. 5 stars. I love Erin A. Craig's all 2 of the books I've read by Erin A. Craig I've loved and given 5 stars. This has a very slow paced. It's very focused on the strife between people and what people are capable of doing when pushed to their limit. And this takes inspiration from the Rumpelstiltskin fairy tale. There are supernatural elements that are influencing the story, but this book isn't like stifled or overpowered by those elements at all. It just adds to the drama and the conflict, and I was just so engrossed the whole time, sometimes creeped out. There were some kind of creepy moments, and I just really enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to reading the sequel to House of Salt and Sorrows. That came out like in 2019 or something, and the sequel just came out I think earlier this year or maybe the end of last year, so I'm looking forward to reading that. The Library of the Unwritten by A.J. Hackwith. This is a fantasy following the librarian of Hell's Library, where unfinished books and other forms of incomplete art are kept. And she, along with some others, end up going on this frantic search across realms for a very powerful book that agents of heaven are also going after. And sadly, this was a 2-star for me. I like the idea, but not the execution. I think the cover is very cool looking, but this has very firmly YA writing. Even though this appears to be marketed as adult, it looks like an adult book to me, and I wasn't into the vibes that it was giving. I think that it was attempting, to be clever and subversive, but it just ended up mostly being kind of silly. I didn't care at all about any of the characters. I didn't care about the plot, and this was just a slog to get through. I really had to push myself through it. Definitely DNF worthy material. Still too stubborn to DNF at this point, but definitely could have with this, and I won't be continuing the series. Miss Percy's Pocket Guide to the Care and Feeding of British Dragons by Quenby, Olson, and narrated by Zara Ram. This is a historical fantasy about a spinster named Mildred who inherits a dragon egg from her late uncle, and hijinks ensue as she has to deal with her overbearing sister who she lives with, has to deal with someone who wants the egg for themselves, and of course the dragon that comes out of the egg. And this was really charming, 4.5 stars. I love this kind of, you know, Regency, Victorian era fantasy. I love that setting. The writing, due to the nature of it, you know, could get very verbose sometimes. You know, it has very proper, you know, British tone to it, but that is part of the appeal to me. The antagonists aren't like evil. They're just like really difficult people, and the plot is low stakes. It's very personal to the main character, and the character interactions are all entertaining. I just had a really fun time with this, and this is the first in a series which I will be continuing. It's definitely reminiscent of the memoirs of Lady Trent by Marie Brennan, and probably similar to the book that I haven't read yet, but I'm going to, Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. I think that that kind of vibe, that sort of naturalist, woman, female character, scientist, sort of old-timey, kind of low fantasy, maybe cozy fantasy almost vibe, this series kind of fits in with that. Strange Exit by Parker Peevyhouse. This is a sci-fi following a girl named Lake who's trying to free the minds of a bunch of other teenagers from this virtual simulation, and they're all on a spaceship that escaped a nuclear war from Earth, but the only way that the ship can return to Earth is if every person is out of this simulation, and Lake is trying to wake everyone up. This was a 2.5 star. It was almost dizzying with the combination of POV changes and going in and out of the simulation over and over again. And once again, I didn't really like or care about any of the characters. There were things about the ending that weren't very well done or explained. The writing itself was okay, but this never got me excited or very interested. You know, not the worst book I've read, but not anything special. And the last thing that I read in April was Piranesi by Susanna Clarke. Can't believe it took me so long to read this. This is about a man called Piranesi who lives in this house full of a seemingly infinite number of hallways and chambers and statues, and while he spends his days just exploring this house, getting to know this house, he starts finding evidence that there is an unknown person also in the house. And this was a 3.5 out of 5. I did really enjoy it. It has a very calming and dreamy vibe, kind of cozy almost. I just don't think that it was amazing. There's nothing in particular that I didn't like, but I think that the ending was very mundane. The setting of the house and the things that you learn are very interesting. Piranesi himself is lovely, but yeah, the less you know going into this, the more fun it is, I think. So definitely worth the read if you're interested. And those are all the books that I read in April. I feel like that went by really fast compared to my last wrap up where I had to combine 3 months worth of reviews into one because I was lazy. So I'm glad that I'm getting this out on time. So yeah, I am currently reading books that are springy and in the theme of kind of Fae May. So I'm kind of in the mood to read a bunch of books that have Fae in them. them. I'm finally reading The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. I am enjoying it so far. Definitely a different vibe of fae compared to Sarah J. Maas, who those two series, The Cruel Prince and like ACOTAR and things like that, are often kind of paired together as being kind of different. Same, but different. I am enjoying it so far. I do want to read Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies as well, and I just have a little stack of books that are fae themed that I think I'm going to try and read this May. So I hope that you enjoyed, and I hope that you're enjoying the slight difference in background. I think I do prefer the other side. I think the lighting is just better when I'm not wearing glasses. I've never worn glasses in a video, and I decided, I'm like, oh, I need to check before I actually start filming, and I'm like, oh yeah, there's glare. So thank you so much for joining me. Let me know if you've read any fae books that you really like, or that maybe you don't enjoy, and why. I'm kind of curious to hear your thoughts. So I will see you guys in my next month's wrap up. Bye!